Welcome to The Fight with Teddy Atlas. I'm Ken Rideout, joined as always by Boxing Hall of Famer Teddy Atlas, Quarantine Edition. Teddy, how you doing?
Good, Ken. I see that you shaped up the beard since last time a little bit.
I put in some Just for Men.
Okay. We don't have to tell anybody. See, we're very
I'm
transparent.
kidding.
No, we're very honest. That speaks to the honesty of this show. It really does.
Do I look younger?
No. But, I mean, you look good, though. You look great. You look great as always. And I'm just wondering how many emails I know you get quite a few and you read all that stuff, and I don't read any. I don't know how to get them. I thank God that's why I'm still alive, that I don't read the internet. Otherwise, God knows where I'd be, what prison cell, what prison island I would be on or something. I don't know where I would be, or what a sane asylum, or what I don't know. But all I know is it works well for me not being able to read any of those beautiful people out there. Most of them are beautiful. Not all of them, though. Not being able to read any of their love notes, And I know that you're better than me. You read the son of a guns. You read them. And I'm just wondering how many of them asked you about which Lamborghini or Ferrari or, Maserati. Well, Maserati, that's what you keep in the trunk. I mean, that's
My nanny drives the Maserati.
That's your nanny's car. That's it. That's the one.
Well, it's good to be with you, Teddy. I'm glad you're healthy. You look great. I want to talk to you today about your experiences training the great Alexander Povetkin, former heavyweight champion of the world.
I wouldn't say they're great. I mean, that's getting a little. And listen, we're not knocking them. I think that's part of the signature of this show. Like it, or you like it, or you don't like it, or you whatever. But I'm not gonna. I'm gonna not exaggerate things. I don't think there's many great fighters out there. Sugar Ray Leonard was a great fighter. Pernell Whitaker, great fighter. Roberto Duran, great fighter. We have some around now. Mayweather, I say around now. You never know when he's going to pop back, Mr. Mayweather. He's something else. He's great. And but there's not too many that you really would call great and know that you're being either honest or competent. And instead of just being lazy or just being fashionable or convenient. That's all. So
no, that's fair. I just think of I was being complimenting the fact that he was multiple-time heavyweight world champion, which is kind of like the king of the boxing world, if you will, while you're on top of that throne. But you have a fair point. I'll leave the analysis of the fighters to you.
And listen, again, it's not being critical of him. I mean, I trained them.
Yep.
We won the world title together, So I trained them for 2 years. We won, what was it, WBA? I don't remember, but we won the world title against Shagayev and Ruslan Shagayev, southpaw. So I'm not being critical, and I know that he's a decent enough person too. He's not a horrid human being. I was disappointed by him at the end, but hey, we all get disappointed if we live long enough by things. But again, even with that, I'm going to say that he was not a bad person. He was a decent person. So, but there's very few guys out there that you could really truly say are great fighters. That's all.
Fair enough.
But a good fighter and a guy that was good enough to win the title, a guy that was good enough to be a gold medalist representing Russia in the Olympics.
Yep. with that being said, just from speaking with you in camp and over the past year or two, just hearing stories about your experiences there, I thought it would warrant a full episode. And I think there's a lot of interesting stuff to be discussed just because he doesn't speak English, or he didn't speak English when you were with him. I don't think he does.
No, we had to have an interpreter. We had an interpreter. I've worked with a lot of fighters over the years when I was with Custom Model and after that, but I work with a lot of fighters. I've been around 45 years. I work with a lot of fighters where I had to work with an interpreter. Quite a few, actually, more than you would think. And we were able to get the job done. I used to joke, writers used to ask me, how'd you get it done with an interpreter? That makes it much more difficult. It definitely puts another element in there. And I used to joke. I used to say, hey, boxing has a universal language. Move your freaking head or get hit. They learn that real fast.
It means the same thing in every language. Well, listen, let's talk about how did you become associated with Alex? Did he reach out? I'm assuming they reached out to you. Can you tell me how that happened, when, and who made contact?
And again, this makes me neither this or that, but again, just since you brought it up the way you did, I've never in my life reached out to a fighter. That doesn't make me, doesn't make me Godiva chocolate. I don't know. Godiva. It doesn't make me, it just makes me me. Not better, not less, not worse, not anything. Other than I've never felt that I would ever lobby for a job. That if I learned my craft through my apprenticeship, which I did with 8 years altogether, 8, with Custom Auto, and then went forward and practiced it correctly, that my reputation would be enough. And, you didn't lobby for a job. You just didn't do that. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you're, I guess you can, and you still don't lose face. It doesn't make you less of a person. But for me, that's not the way it was. If you were good at your craft, whether it be training fighters or it be maybe, being a carpenter, being a doctor, being a lawyer, you didn't call people up and say, "Hey, you need a lawyer." They kind of found you. I don't know.
Doctors aren't cold calling. So who reached out to you from Povetkin's team? I'm assuming someone from his team reached out.
Yeah, a guy named Vlad. I think his last name was Hernoff. And they reached out. I'm trying to remember how they reached out to me. Anyway, they reached out and said they'd like. It was right after the Eddie Chambers fight. He was an undefeated. Again, we got Rob here. We got all my experts here of science. Where you look it up. That
science experts might be a bit of a stretch.
Well, they are. You guys are. I don't know. You underestimate yourselves, and that's because you're good people. But you are. For me, you are. You're scientists. You know that thing you told me about it, that Google, internet
makes everyone a scientist.
Well, except me. And
Eddie Chambers in January of 2008.
All right, that's what it was then.
Yeah.
He was coming over a fight with Eddie Chambers. He was undefeated. I think he was about 16-0. Am I correct? Somewhere in that neighborhood?
Yep, exactly. And Eddie Chambers was 30-0 at the time. They fought in Germany.
Yeah. So he fought all his fights for the most part in Germany because he was promoted by Sauerland, which was the big promoter in Germany over in Europe.
Yep.
So they're coming off that fight. It was on HBO, I believe, with Eddie Chambers. And some people thought Chambers won. Either way, it was closer than he thought it should be, tougher than he thought. There's a kid, they want him to move forward and going to do all these big things, and he got hit a lot of right hands. That's the bottom line. And, it's kind of like we joked before about you need a good lawyer, or what kind of case you got coming up? All right, let's look at the list of lawyers. All right, this guy's good. Call him. He's got a good reputation. I get a phone call from somebody, and will I train this guy? And I said no. It had become easy to say no.
Yeah.
Too easy. And the things I've been through, disappointments, without getting into too much, we all go through that.
Yeah.
In my life, my industry, I didn't want to be disappointed by any more fighters. I was doing ESPN. As I joke with some newspaper guys, nobody could talk back to me at ESPN on a microphone. There's a fighter can talk back to you. Other things can happen, and I didn't have to worry about who won. It was bearing on me. It was taking toll on me, and just calling the fights at ESPN is a great responsibility to call them and tell the fans what's going on and something they might not have known. And it's a lot of preparation, a lot of work, but it's not training a fighter. Again, nobody could talk back to you. There's no worrying about who wins. It doesn't matter. And I didn't want to go there again. So I said no, and my daughter and my son works for the Raiders. My daughter's an attorney. I always brag about them a little bit because I'm proud of them, but I'm proud of the people they are. And both of them immediately, because I share everything with my family, they jumped on me and they said, "Dad, why are you saying no?" I said, "Because of what I just said. I don't want to do it no more." And my daughter and my son both said, "Dad." Now listen, I don't like to sound like the way that you can sound sometimes when you're saying something nice about yourself, but your kids are your kids. What do you think they're going to say? They said, "You're the greatest commentator of all time." Of all time! Of all time! Right? Okay, we can laugh about that. So they said, "But Dad, your core, your soul is to be a teacher. That's why you're a commentator. That's what you do. You make people better." Again, it's my kids. "You teach, and you make heavyweight champions. Go make another heavyweight champion." Wow. How do you walk away from that?
Yeah.
And then, if that wasn't enough, I think it was my daughter. My daughter's like, "Dad," and maybe my son too, but they said, "There's only a window, a period, that you can do this. It eventually ends.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you really know you never want to do this again, go do it. It's a privilege to teach, Dad. It's a privilege for people to call you and ask you to make them better. Make me better, please." That's a privilege. That's a gift. Dad, don't just turn your back on it. Please. You teachers teach. Go teach. And so I told them, they called me back a second time. I said, "All right, look, I'll do a trial period." So they said, 5 days sound good? I said, "Yeah, I don't know who came to 5, but I said, I'll go out there for 5 days. And at the end of the 5, I know whether or not I want to do this."
Go to Russia.
Yeah. And I went out to Russia and I trained them. And I trained them and,
Had you been to Russia before this?
No. No, I'd never been to Russia.
And so this is back in 2008. What was that experience like, just getting off the plane and being in Russia? What were your first, what are the first reactions, the first things you think of when I ask you that?
Well, I'll go home. No, after I stayed there a while, but listen, I was treated real well, but a little isolation. We drove a few hours from Moscow to a little town called Chekhov, named after a very famous writer, and it was isolated. I could see the poverty. I could see it in the roads. in the people's faces, that it didn't take long to discover that I was around a lot of people that had money and power in a province where I was, the area I was. There were guys that controlled those areas. His manager was one of those guys. After the falling of, I don't think you need a map for me to explain to the people out there that after the falling of the Soviet Union, it went into chaos. It was the Roaring '20s for a while, like it was in the country, in the States, I guess. There were guys that controlled certain areas. That's the way it worked. And there was the haves and the have-nots. There was no middle.
Yeah.
There were people that had just desperate poverty, and it was written all over their face. You saw them on the sides of the streets trying to sell whatever they could sell, vegetables, water, whatever. And you saw it was large. There was a lot of land. There was a lot of just open space where I was. And it was barren. It was cold. It was just, it seemed dark in certain areas, depressed, except for the areas where the guys that ran those areas had, certain things going on. They had their businesses going on, and it was good for them, but it didn't expand beyond that. It was all contained into those areas. And again, I was around the people that had a lot. The manager owned the hotel we stayed at. He built a shopping plaza up not far away. He owned everything in there. He owned a ranch that he lived on, with guards and gates and machine guns and dogs and all the props to look whatever. I guess there was a reason for them, I guess, too. But, it gave a certain image. Black Range Rovers picking you up, black Mercedes. And again, when you travel a little bit, you saw a lot of separation in the distances of towns, but also separation in the conditions of people that had it, people that had nothing. And, I don't go to places to hang out anyway. So I was in the hotel, I was in the gym and back in the hotel. And nobody really spoke English. We had an interpreter. Vlad spoke English. A couple people did, but for the most part, I was in a hotel where, I learned the one or two things I wanted on the menu, and I pointed to them, And I had a lot of che. That's tea. And I said placebo a lot as thank you. Placebo. And black and green tea, and I drank that, and I watched film, showed him what he was doing wrong, showed him what I would change, what my plan would be. And at the end of it, he said to me through the interpreter, I even let him spar a couple times, and he said through the interpreter that he was a real motherland guy, a home guy, Russian. He believed in the motherland. He just like we have people here that don't want to leave this country or their area. He never wanted. He was a country boy, I guess you could say in some ways, and he didn't want to leave his area. And he said that he had told everybody that he would never ever leave Russia to go train in the United States. He didn't care, But now, after spending 5 days with me, he asked me if I would train him. He was a respectful kid. He was a nice person, and he was a real fighter. And he knew what was in front of him. Klitschko was supposed to be in front of him. He understood the seriousness of that, and he said, "Will you train me? I will go to the United States if you train me." And we made a deal. We made a deal that during that period, Ken, ESPN used to go 12 months a year.
Meaning the boxing schedule was year-round.
Yeah, but at that period, they changed. The executives, the smart people at ESPN, realized it was futile to keep going up against college football.
Yeah.
So from September to January, somewhere like that, we stopped broadcasting, and then we would pick up in January. So I made a deal. He would come to the United States during the period, because I wanted to be fair. He said, I'll come to the United States. So I wanted to be fair. I recognized that he'd be homesick and everything I just described to you. And you do have to be fair. I said, look, I'll go my end of it too. And I will make a sacrifice on my side. I will come to Russia to train you when I'm off. So during those periods that I'm off, September to January, if we have a fight on, I'll come here. The other periods, you come here. Done. Deal. Done. Finished. Off to America. And, I came there with not a lot of baggage. I went back with some extra baggage and a case or so of vodka. As I was told by his manager, I gave it to gifts to people. They loved it. As I was told by his manager, it was it's not the vodka that's sold in the stores. It's the good vodka. I said, oh, really? You have two kinds. I see. It's the best vodka in the world. It's the best. It's the good stuff. It's the same one that Putin drinks. Oh, okay. It must be good.
Was this when they sent you home with that vodka? Is that when I just remember you from camp mentioning that they were sending you home with like wolfskin fur coats and stuff. Is that the same?
Yeah, I got a wolfskin. My wife threw it out. Don't tell anybody. She got freaked out by it. She said, I have enough of this wolf looking at me with these dead eyes. I thought it was cool. I've never had a wolfskin before, you know? And it was from the heart. It was meant well. And very good honey.
Oh, yeah?
We had all different kinds of honey. Honey from Siberia was white. Honey from some other part of a region, and it was all different, but really, really, really good honey and vodka and wolf skins. And it was, and don't even ask me how you're not supposed to bring that stuff home, but that was worked out. Yeah. It was worked out, Somebody will meet you at the airport, and they will escort you in. I said, I have a bag full of vodka over here. Is this gonna be a problem? No problem. No problem.
So after you guys reached the agreement, that was in the Chambers fight was in January. So I'm assuming it was shortly thereafter you were in Russia. So this is during the ESPN period. So it was the first camp in the U.S.?
Yep.
And what was that like for him? Had he been here before? Who came with him? Did the gangster manager come with them? And what was everyone's reaction to being in the U.S., especially for the guys who hadn't been here before, coming from that type of environment?
He came with there was no big crew. One of the trips he came with his brother. I think that was the first. I'm not sure if that was the first one. I think it was, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But we had an interpreter. Trying to remember if Max was my man. He was my guy over in Russia. And young kid, good kid. He worked for them, and he was an interpreter, spoke good English, and a smart kid, nice kid. He, I don't know if he came with him or we got somebody over here. Because one of the trips, Max couldn't come if he had come at all. I don't remember. But whether it was a visa situation, whatever it was, I don't know. But we hired somebody here. We got somebody here for at least one or two of the camps over here. So anyway, bottom line was we had an interpreter. He came with his brother, I believe, and the manager or the front manager one of the managers, you know, family's got a lot of buffers, Senator. Yeah, they had a lot of buffers, Senator. Lot of buffers, Senator.
And was this first camp? Is this the one that you had in Middletown, New Jersey, at the police department?
Yeah, I set it up. I had to find, I had to have people help me, but it was my responsibility to find a place. So I found a gym. By this guy who was a good guy. He had a gym right on the police, right there where the Middletown Police Department was. It was a little house, old little gym. Perfect. We got the key. They were good to us. Beautiful, good people. Was it Danny Doyle? He's involved with the amateurs in Jersey. Good guy. He ran his little gym there. So we had it there. We got him a condo. Want him to be comfortable. Got him and his guys a condominium not far away. Rented a car. I brought my man in, Saul. The guy my friend, my brother. He's been with me forever at ESPN from the beginning. He did all the fight plans that people used to love to watch when I did the fight plans on ESPN. And I brought him in as my assistant. So he was there. He would drive them to the gym and everything, lived there with them in the condo. I had a place for him to run. I had everything that set up that needed to be set up. And we had, like I said, we had a key to the gym during the day. And I would commute from my house about 45 minutes every day to get down there. I wanted them in a clean place, a good environment, rural area, fresh air, no distractions. And, I started training them. I started teaching them and correcting, like I did when I was there in Russia, correcting the first mistake, which was his availability to getting hit with right hands. He, like Cuss used to say, it's not illegal to move your head. And like Mickey Duff used to say to me, Teddy, this fella gets insulted if you miss him. But he got hit a lot of right hands, and there was a reason. I figured out the reason. I looked at tape. I figured out the reason. I corrected it.
Yeah.
He didn't get hit with right hands like that. Also, I found out that he could be in better shape. We dropped some weight. I think we dropped about 20 pounds. I think it was. And just little things, but big things too. I found out that I looked at him and I said, you just throw punches. And he, at first, he's a good kid. He listens. I don't know if he understood right away. I said, you're just throwing punches. I want you throwing punches for a reason. I don't want you just throwing punches. Sometimes the best punch you could throw is the punch you don't throw. So he had to learn he never heard stuff like that before, And, so he had to learn that and understand, and he was hungry to learn. That's why he was willing to come. It was hard for him to come to the States. He was willing to come because he thought he needed it, and I give him credit for that. And I said, you can't just chuck punches. You got to throw intelligent punches, meaningful punches, thought-out punches at the right time, the right distance, the right place. You don't just throw punches. So we worked on that, on distinct combinations, specific combinations, punching at the right time, not punching at the wrong time, all those kind of things, and try to sculpt them into a more developed, effective, efficient fighter that could win a world title.
This was all in preparation for Taurus Sykes?
Yeah, the fight never happened, which was his first fight after...
After Chambers, he had Taurus Sykes, and it looks like the fight took place in that little town that you just described of Chekhov.
No, I think he might have had that fight without me.
Okay. Was your first fight with him?
Because,
fight with him in Germany?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So then it was Jason Estrada in April of 2009.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Now, like I said, he was with the Sauerlands, and they were the promoters, so he fought in Germany. And, he wasn't known. He wasn't developed in Russia. He wasn't like the Klitschko's. Hey, look, the Klitschko's did their promotion in Germany, too.
Yep.
They were promoted there, too. It was development there for fighting, and a base of fans than Russia. You got to remember, Russia had been through all those years of, the Soviet Union when there was no professional boxing. And it took a while, the fighters that, when they started allowing fighters to turn pro, most of them had to come over, eventually get over here if they were going anywhere. It took a while. It wasn't set up the way, other parts of Europe was set up for promoting boxing. So the first problem was, it wasn't training him. It was that it turned out that he was the mandatory for Klitschko. And he had been in mandatory earlier, if my memory serves me correct. And he hurt his ankle. Or Klitschko hurt his ankle. I think it was Povetkin hurt his ankle. One of them hurt their ankle and the fight was off. And it didn't happen. And then it came back, and there was no way that I thought we were walking right into a Klitschko fight, even though I get paid. I wanted to teach him. I want him to learn. I wanted to do what my job is to do, make him better. You didn't come to me for, because you liked Americans with a scar on the left side of their face. You came to me because you thought I could teach and make them better. Give me a chance to teach and make them better. And the Sahlins had something else in mind. They controlled the promotion. They're going to make money. His manager, the guy that was Nikolai, had something else. Vlad, of course, was the front guy. There was a whole bunch of guys. And, or at least a couple. And to make a long story short, Ken, I didn't want that fight. He wasn't ready for it. Klitschko had 55 fights, 51 fights, 52 fights, whatever the hell it was. He was 6'6", 250 pounds. My kid had 16 fights. He was 6'1", 225 pounds. And there's no way. It didn't add up. He had no chance. He wasn't ready. And the most important thing is the fighter wasn't ready in his mind. But he's a fighter, and he's Russian. I don't think I have to paint more of a picture. He can't just say, I don't want... Come on. So I wanted to protect him. So I told them no. And they wanted that fight. It was a $2 million fight. But the truth was, you're going to get paid, right? By the time everyone took their end, I didn't go to MIT, right? But I didn't need to. I'm not a mathematician, but I can add 2 and 2, 4 and 4, 8 and 8, whatever. And if it gets too heavy, I could get a calculator. I didn't, you know what I mean? Yeah. When everyone finished taking, this guy was getting 25%, this guy was getting 20, this guy was getting 15, I was getting 10. When it was all over with, I was going to wind up making more money than him.
Oh, my God.
And that's a reality. Of course, people don't like realities when it reflects the way it can reflect sometimes. It's, it's the son of a gun. I know. It's just, life can be a what. But I didn't want to fight for him. That was not going to be my first fight with him, to lead him to slaughter, whatever you want to call it. That's not happening. That's not happening. I know I could make a quick 200,000, but no, it's not happening. Doesn't make me a saint, but it makes me the man and I want to be. So I knew it couldn't be, and the fighter knew it couldn't be. But the fighter normally would have had to take it. But now he had a little out. It was a little different. He had some guy named Teddy, a little crazy, and he's training in a little town in Middletown, New Jersey. He's learning new things, and you know what? He didn't really want it, and one thing led to another. I can't tell you the exact timelines. All I can tell you is that he got a phone call The fight's going to be made. The press conference, Klitschko's going to be there. You got to be there Monday. This was maybe Friday. Get on a plane. The manager, Nikolai, the Sauerlands telling him, come, Teddy doesn't want to fight. Well, Teddy don't come, then you come. But you get here.
Oh, my God.
And what he tells them, I do what Teddy tells me. I became the number one hated man in Chekhov and parts of Germany, southbound Germany, the southern region of Germany. I controlled the fighter. I didn't want to control him. I just wanted to train him. I'm not going to manage him. I'm not talking to him. I'm not trying to steer him. But as a trainer, I can't tell them, I'm not going to tell him that he's ready for a fight that I know he's not and that he can't win, especially when the fighter doesn't think he can win. But the fighter can't say it, so I got to protect him because if you leave it to him, he's going to be led to where he's going to be led to. So this was an out. I became the out. I became the bad. That's okay. That's part of being a trainer sometimes. Part of being a parent sometimes. Yeah, you got to be the bad guy. That's the way it is sometimes. And it's okay as long as you believe in what you're doing. And I believed in it. And so that was my job. So and the fighter, look, I had to be sure. There was one thing. I'm not stupid. Before I completely, eliminated that fight, I told him, take a walk with me, with the interpreter. Because I didn't want at the end for him, not that I didn't trust him, but I only knew him a short period of time. I didn't want him at the end to say, oh, I wanted that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I wasn't going to burn him. I wasn't going to make him say he didn't want it. I couldn't do that to him because then you destroy his pride.
Yeah.
You take away someone's pride, you take away their insights. How do you fight with no insights? I got the answer. You can't. So, but I still had to protect myself in a way that I knew I was right. I had to know I was right. I knew I was, but I had to be sure. So I took him for a walk. I remember walking by these trees, and I told the interpreter, make sure you say exactly what I'm asking him. Exactly. So I couldn't just say to him, do you want this fight? You know why, Ken? That was the easiest thing for me. But if I said that and I forced him to say no, I'm getting him to say something a fighter should never say. To a certain extent. I know people out there are going to say, oh, they're thinking people. You don't want them to think, Teddy? Go train a fighter and figure it out. Okay? Please. And I'll do whatever you're doing for a month. I don't know what you're doing, but I'll do your job for a month. But you don't want him to say, I don't want to fight. I know it's got to be said, but someone else should say it. Because the premise is the behavior. It's the honor. It's the pride, the tradition. It's all of that. It's what a fighter carries in himself, representing himself as a fighter. Not a boxer. Not a fighter. The whole core of that word is to be willing to fight. And so you can't have a fighter say, you can't ask a fighter, you want to fight? No, I don't want to. So I knew that because I would be going against the art of training. For me, I would be undermining myself in what I'm trying. I'm trying to make them stronger, better, not less. To say that would be making him less. So I had to think about it. I had to catch myself. And I said, shoot, I can't say that. That'd be the easiest way for me to say it, But I said, no, it would be detrimental to the fight. It would be wrong, irresponsible. So I thought about it, and I said, oh, I got it. I said, put it to him this way. Do you think you would like to have more time? Bang. Do you think do you think it would be, you would be better to have, first I started by saying, I know you're ready to fight him. I have to make the right decision here. Either way, the right decision has everything to do with you. Do you think you could use more time? He looked at me, he said, more time. Done. I ain't letting this kid get on the plane. I ain't letting him go to freaking, it would be wrong. I'm his trainer now. I don't care if it was for 5 minutes, 5 months, 5 weeks. I don't know how long it had been. It'd been a little while already, a little bit. I don't care. I'm not betraying this kid. I'm not freaking sending him out to the wolves. Even if I do have wolf skins in my house. So, I told them.
I can just imagine what the management team and everyone thought about you. And I've just because I've seen these scenarios play out where you have to be the bearer of bad news. And, I can just imagine. They must have wanted to kill you.
And listen, these writers, there's great writers out there. But now listen, what I'm about to say, people say, oh, you're being critical because yeah, maybe. Maybe. I'm human. But in my mind, I'm being honest and fair. There were writers that were taken care of by some of these people. I know that. I'm not blind.
Yeah.
And some of them immediately were like, Teddy Atlas ruined this guy's career. He just took him out of a $2 million payday. Oh, all right. Are you writing that based on what? Because somebody told you to write that? I'd like to know. Or was it based on your what? What? Because I think you've been around boxing about 2.5 weeks. I mean, like, what do you know about boxing? What it's about? And what I just finished talking. What do you know? What do you know? But so you're going to write that? But at the end of the day, you got a chance for it to play out. That's the key. So, yeah, I live with it. I swallowed that. Hey, it's part of the business sometimes. But then I said, let me do what I need to do. And one of 3 things will happen. I have a plan. Doesn't mean I'll be right. But at least I have a plan. I think it's right. I think it's wrong to fight him now. But I think if we give him more time to develop, to get better, to get more seasoning, more experience, more time, when he eventually fights Klitschko, he'll have a better chance, number 1. Number 2, I do understand the sport of boxing. There's a lot of things in life I don't understand, but I do understand this. I understand that this sport, for the good and the bad, sometimes the bad can be good. Oh, what did you just say, Teddy? Sometimes the bad can be good. That with all this funky monkey business that goes on with these, whatever they are, organizations and these promoters and all the backroom stuff, sometimes funny things happen. And maybe on the way to the market, we'll find out that somebody other than Klitschko is the heavyweight champ, and it'll be an easier fight. Oh, how's that going to happen? The way it's happened for a million years. So maybe something will happen. So give me more time. Let's see. At the very least, he'll be better when he does eventually fight Klitschko. He'll get another chance. Oh, he's never going to get another chance. I'm willing to gamble. I took a big gamble. And could people throw a few knives at me saying you gambled with his career? Go ahead. Here I am. But I was doing what was right because of what I just described. And sure enough, we start training. We fight some fights. We fight fights in Germany. We fight fights in Russia. We promote the fights ourselves. They did anyway. And he's developing. And 2 years go by. We're developing. And what happens, Ken? What happens? Oh, my God. What happens? Klitschko gets named the Supreme. What did they call it back in those days? Supreme, Decapitated, Decupi, Magnificent One. What did they call it?
Emeritus?
Yeah, whatever.
I don't know. I'm making things up. I have no idea.
He became
the Grand Poobah.
He became the Grand Poobah champion. And the organization, what was it? The WBA, I think, was it?
WBA, yep.
WBA decides to have a regular champion, world champion. That used to be enough, by the way, just to be a world champion. That was enough.
Yep.
But so Klitschko gets called to whatever. I don't know. What was it? Golden, Supreme, Plutonium. I don't know what it was.
WBA Super World Heavyweight Title.
Okay. At least it wasn't super duper. So he becomes the Super World, and now they decide the number 1 and the number 2 will fight for the regular heavyweight title. So, guess what? Shagayev, who's not 6'6", 250 pounds, 55 fights or whatever the hell. Instead, he's 6'1", 230 or 225, 32 years old, 20-something fights. We get to fight Southpaw. We get to fight him. He's the number 1, and he's going to fight the number 2. That would be us. And we're going to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world in Germany. And sure enough, guess what? We get a chance to fight somebody that we have a better chance to beat. There we are.
And he won it. So he wins the title against Shagayev. Did you feel did you feel some vindication towards the management teams, and did they have a different attitude towards you after you delivered them a world title?
It was the hardest, most difficult. People that know my story know that, listen, I love Michael Moorer, and Michael Moorer was a tremendous fighter, the first Southpaw heavyweight champ. He went from light heavyweight champion, dominant, to heavyweight champion. He was a special, special guy. But it was difficult, but it's supposed to be. It's part of the, sometimes it's part of the deal, baby.
But weren't there some challenges with the Shagayev camp? Didn't you get there late? Talk to me about that.
Well, that's what I'm kind of leading to. As difficult as it was with Michael, it was like being in the Willy Wonka chocolate factory compared to what I dealt with for this camp. Because this one was in Russia, and without going too crazy here, the Shaolin people were not the most, they were not Boy Scouts, okay? And, or Cub Scouts. And I wasn't getting paid properly. There was some things going on. I have a great attorney, a great friend, David Berlin, and it was difficult. How are we going to make it right? They're in Russia. They're in Germany. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, their accounting system was a little different, okay? It was a little different. All right, Ken? It was they were going by metrics, we were going by whatever. And we weren't comfortable. I didn't think they were great people. They didn't love me anymore than I loved them, but I was doing a job. And then you had Nikolai, the guy, whatever, with the ranch and with the dogs and the whatever. And so I wasn't gonna go and train them because they had never paid me what they were supposed to. They had never signed what they were supposed to. There was a few things that still were just weren't done. David said, you can't go. You can't go. And my family said, you must not go. And one thing, and they could do what they wanted in Russia a little bit, and all of a sudden, 10 weeks before the fight became 7, 7 became 6, 6 became... You need 8 weeks to train for a fight. 7 weeks you could do it. 6 weeks you could squeak by. Anything less than that, it's irresponsible. You're shooting dice. It gets to a month, Ken. It's over. It's over. I'm not going to train him. I got a month to train him. The kid been off. He was heavy. He wasn't in shape. I'm not going. It's done. Finished. Over. Done. Gone. Kaput. Blup. How do you say that in Russian? Any language.
Yet.
And what happens? Sometimes there's a reason that people are not trustworthy because they don't tell the truth. They had never told the fighter. I was very clear. I'm not coming. It's 1 month before the fight. I'm in Las Vegas doing ESPN Friday Night Fights, and it's my birthday. It's July 29th. And I get a phone call during the afternoon before my show. And it's my fighter, Alexander Povetkin. And he doesn't speak English, but, you could say, hello, Teddy. We could do that. Stuff like that. Happy birthday. It hit me. He didn't know. He thought I was still coming for the fight. They never told him.
It's a month to go.
Make all the faces you want. I agree with you. You look like somebody. I'm going to figure out before this is over who it is. You know who you look like? That actor who plays Thor.
Oh, Josh Brolin?
Is that him? You look like him.
But that's what I get.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good thing. He makes a lot of money, and he's a good-looking guy. But you look like him. You do. Anyway.
All I need is a hammer.
Yeah, okay. So, I realize after I get off the phone, I call my family, and I'm upset. And they say, Dad, what's the matter? You got the show tonight. They said, this kid thinks I'm going to train him. They never told him. Well, that's their fault. Now, that's easy to go. That's my family. They're not wrong. They're protecting me. That's their fault, Dad. It's got nothing to do with you. I said, no. He thinks at the end of the day, when it's all over and he loses this title, he's going to think that I betrayed him. He's going to think I left him and walked out on him. And that's on me. I can't hide behind Russians, Germans. That's on me. Yeah, but they the ones who did it. I said he thinks they lied. They didn't tell him. He thinks I'm coming. He was dependent on me. He doesn't understand all this stuff. They didn't pay me. They've been cheating me on these fights, everything else. So I call David Berlin, or my family called him. He called me, whatever it was, one of the few people I trust besides my family. And he says, you can't go. Anyway, we get it worked out. I tell him, listen, I'm going. And we get it worked out the best we can. And 3.5 weeks before the fight, I go. And it was the scariest plane ride I ever took. Because I didn't know where I was going. I felt like I was going into oblivion. Usually you're going with a confidence, with a plan. You're nervous, but at least you know that you can trust your ability, trust the time you have. I didn't have time. I had no time. 3.5 weeks. The kid's not in shape. I'm going to go there. I don't know what the people's attitude's going to be because of the animosity I just described. I'm going to be alone. I'm going to be isolated. I was scared. I was uneasy about this whole thing. But I was more scared about letting him down. I was more scared about feeling the way I was going to feel 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever I was going to feel later as a person, as a human being. I was more scared of that. And my family was like, but it's there. I said, I'm going to feel it. Me, not them. And I got on the plane. I had no idea how we were going to get this done. And when I got there, at least you get your hand. It got worse.
Oh, jeez.
It got worse, Ken.
So what? So tell me what happened.
Well, I got there. There's no sparring partners. They have a guy that's 6'9". They had like 4 different guys. One guy was like 6'9", and he wasn't a southpaw. Another guy was about 5'3". I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but probably was about 5'5". And they had another guy that was a runner, another guy that was this, another guy. And I'm like, oh, my God. Oh, my. So, and then, if that's not bad enough, the fighter's got an attitude because by now he knows it's late, and it's like who knows what they told him.
Yeah.
Right? So he's got like an attitude. And normally I would have got on the plane and went back. But I don't want to, I don't want to lose. What do I mean by that? I don't want to lose. I'm going into a fight that it looks like we can't win. But I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose what is your choice to lose. I don't want to give up. I don't want to walk away from something that you can figure it out maybe. That you feel you have an obligation, a commitment. Even though with all this stuff I just told you. And I don't want to be one of those guys that just said, yeah, I had no choice. I had to walk away because they did this and they did that. Yeah, they did all that. But you know what, Ken? I still had a choice. And so I had to look at film the first day with the fighter. And after a couple hours, I got him back to the place I needed to get him. I wasn't going to go and throw myself as murder. Hey, I'm not going to go and tell, oh, they screwed me. They pay. Hey, I tell them, but I ain't telling the fighter that.
Yeah.
So I didn't explain anything other than obviously whatever he heard and that there was problems. And I just watched film. I knew he was nervous. I knew that he knew it was too little time. And as soon as I looked at the film, I could see he had a little something that I don't allow any fighters to have. He was being an adversary to me. Like he was going again. And that's fine. I'm not saying I'm a dictator, even though I am at the end of the day, because that's why you hired me. But I'm not ashamed to say that. I say it again. Dictator. All right? Without guns or without any of that stuff. And without an army behind me. Just me. Because if you came to me for a reason. Yeah. It's going to be my way. And so I could see he's got some flunky with him. And first time I can forget who it was, somebody. And I'm trying to remember. Anyway, he had some decent people around him. His brother was a decent guy, but he was all right. And even though behind his back, the management team of course didn't think of him the way that they put forward with him, but he wasn't a bad guy. That was just about me and the fighter. And he had someone with him that I could see he fed him something that he's got to land whatever punch it was. And I looked at the tape and I was like, nope. So I said, forget, this is it right now. Right now, I get him and we can go forward or we can't. So I said to him, now there's one punch that never misses. It's the uppercut. This guy eats uppercuts like there's some kind of Russian snack. He said, no, not uppercut. And he never, ever said that to me before, went against my ever. And I wouldn't have been training him if he did early, to be honest. But we are where we are now. So I put the film on. And I just said, I knew that the truth would come out. past all the feelings. And I said, look at the film. First round, guy gets hit an uppercut. Second round, bang, uppercut. Third round, bang, uppercut. Fourth round, bang, uppercut. After about 4 rounds, he turns to me and says, uppercut. Yes, you're right. That's it. Let's go forward. Let's do what we got to do. We go to the gym, like I said. The only thing missing was cattle, sheep, fire, wild dogs, mermaids. Ken, it was Noah's Ark. It was ridiculous. And nobody should have to deal with this. I ain't dealing with it. I walk in, the manager's there. They all know, respect that you don't talk with them. And it's just like if you hire a lawyer. You're going to go into the courtroom and you're going to start telling them how to run the case. No, you're not going to have a lawyer for long. You're going to go in the operating room and tell your doctor, hey, keep me awake, and I want to watch what you... No. Well, you ain't coming into my gym and opening your mouth. But it's a different time. The manager's drunk. He's the guy, right?
Oh, my God.
He's in there. Ken, we're in this gym, this atmosphere. We got all these different sparring partners. Like, oh, my God. It's just a mess. And the manager's giving him instructions. Finally, I just said, you train him. I turned to the guy, you train him. And I walked out. That's the beginning. That's how we started. It got better from there.
Oh, my God.
And then everyone cleared out. The manager left. Vlad came to me and said he left. I said, listen, everybody is out of here. You get me. I will have names for sparring partners within an hour. You get me the ones I want. Real sparring partners, the right height, southpaws, the right style. You get them for me within 2 days because I'm not going to start right away. Even though we're out of time, I still need a few days to get them on the floor. And you get me this, get everyone out of here. And that's it. And we moved to a different gym. And there was a park across from the hotel. I'd get up very early every morning, work out, eat breakfast. And then we trained about 12. I would read books when I could later in the day. I read about, I don't know how many books in 3 weeks. I read a book on the SEAL team. The SEAL team, the great, great, great SEAL team that went to Afghanistan, wherever that was, and they fought it out with like hundreds of fighters, and they were all killed except for one.
A lone survivor?
And it was, yeah, I think that's what it was. And I read it, and I was almost, I read it, it spoke to me. Like, I had to read stuff like that. And I read probably about 4 or 5 books, and that was one of them. All true story stuff. And the only funny bad thing about it was at the end of it, I started wondering if I would be a survivor. I started wondering if it was a little bit of a omen that there's one survivor. I said, maybe that's good news. It's me. Maybe that's a good thing. At least that, And I read about these wonderful men, these brave men, these special men, and what they face. And then I started putting it in perspective. Well, that was my way of getting through it. And, it was unbelievable. My daughter always packed the books for me. She didn't tell me. She'd just go out and buy me books, and she would pack them for me when I went away like this. And it was amazing that she picked this book. Really was. And so I said, I'm worried about myself and my everything. I was worried about a lot of things. I mean, like, if we don't win this fight, what's going to happen? I'm here. I'm not home. The fight's going to be in Germany, but still. And but my biggest concern was I didn't think we could be ready. And so in the mornings, I didn't want to be susceptible. I didn't know what they would do. I threw the manager out that first day. So the next day, I wanted to be able to see who was coming to the hotel. So I found this little park. It was just a little park with a bench. And I used to go there, and I would read, and I would sit, and I would think, and I would watch who was coming. So I figured I'd have the edge on them, that whoever was coming, I saw who it was. I saw them before they saw me. I know it's not a good way to live. And I'm watching. It was always the Mercedes, black, or the Range Rovers, black. 5 of them. Wasn't 2 enough. Wasn't 1 enough. All right? So I'd watch this, and I'd be watching. I'd be in the park for hours before I had to go to the gym. And I'm in the park, and I'm thinking, and I'm praying. Yeah. And I'm thinking, how am I going to get him ready? How am I going to take a guy in 3.5 weeks, what normally takes 8 weeks, to get ready for a 12-round fight? How? I got to figure it out. How? I got to figure it out. I can't sleep. I got to figure it out. I have to have a plan. If I don't have a plan, what shot do we have? I can't just wing it. I can't just train him like a maniac. I'll kill him. I'll overtrain him. I have nothing left in the ring.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work. And a lot of guys would have did that, quite frankly. But that ain't going to work. No, it ain't. You have to actually pull back. Teddy, are you out of your mind? 3.5 weeks to get ready. He's not in shape. And you're saying you got... Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so how? Ken, I was in a quandary. How? How am I going to get him ready for a 12-round fight? How? And finally it hit me. I'm there one morning, and all of a sudden, it took a few days, and then all of a sudden it hit me. I said, oh, God, I know how. I'm not gonna. I can't get him ready for 12 rounds. That's why I'm driving myself nuts. I'm going to get him ready for an 8-round fight, and I'm going to slow the pace down to make it feel like 8 instead of 12. And now we got a chance. And now I had a chance. I had a chance now. It made sense. I finally had a chance. I said I'll train him for a 6 to 8 round fight. I can't even tell you what I'll get him ready for. I'm shooting for 8. He'll be in shape for an 8-round fight. But it's a 12-round fight. I get the math. We're missing 4 rounds. I will make up those 4 rounds by slowing it down, where the 8 will become a 12, where the 12 will become an 8. And I left my compound there, the park, and I said, okay, this is what I'm doing. And that's what I did. But it was still bleak every day. There was a day that we're telling him we might as well tell the whole freaking thing, as crazy as it is. People will be like, this is, hey, what am I going to tell you? What am I going to tell you? I remember thinking a book could be made on this one camp. After we won, I felt so relieved to get out of there. I left on a plane. There was like a hurricane hitting the States. And they were like, you want to wait another day? No. No. But we can't fly you to New York. But there's a bad storm. It's like a hurricane, whatever. We can't fly. Fly me anywhere. I don't care. I don't care. Fly me to Abriel. I don't know where Abriel is. But fly me anywhere. They flew me to Chicago. I had to sit in Chicago an extra day. I didn't care. When I was in the airport, I called the editor of HarperCollins. Good people that did my book. I liked them. I trusted them. Dan Halpin. And I called him up, and I left a message. I don't know what time it was. It was probably sometime early in the morning. I was sitting at the airport. I was like, I'm going to get out of here. And it was over. We won the title, and I left him a message. I gave a synopsis of what I'm telling you. Just saying, I think I could make a book on this. And guess what? He never got the message. Sometimes with those long distance, you know how it is. With those phones, you don't know if it's going through. It didn't go through. It didn't go through. What the hell? But here I am, and so now I go to the gym, and that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get more around. I think one day I might have let him spar. I was gonna let him spar 12 rounds. I never do that. Never.
Yeah.
But when I finally got to that point, I used my eyes. I was going to go 12. I think I stopped it at either 10 or 11. But I cheated. He didn't even know it. I shortened a few rounds here and there. I did a little, you see me do that little magic.
Exactly.
But in his head, he went 12 or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just one day. One day. But I wasn't going to kill him. I wasn't going to do all the other stuff. So... And then other than that, I started with 5 rounds, 6. I built them up. I put a base there. But I had to have a very distinct, strong fight plan. Slow the pace down. Okay, forget about what can I take advantage of. I kept looking at film. What can I take advantage of? Okay, Shagaev's got slow feet. Beautiful! Beautiful! He's got slow feet. Let's make him slower. Slow feet, slow pace. Good. He plods. Good. Okay. If you want to slow someone down even more, what do you want to do? You want them to think that you want to engage them when you don't want to. So let's feint them and give a little bit of aggression, and then let's pull back. Slowly, slightly. Not where we're pulling out too fast, where he'll see that it was make-believe. Here's see our plan. No. I want to fight you. Come on. I want to fight you. And then back out of it. Hold him back. And then play. Kill time. Kill rounds. Catch him coming. He's slow. You could see him coming a mile away. He's a southpaw. Move to your left. What don't we want to do? Don't get hit with the left hand. He punched good with the left hand. Don't get hit with that. Let's catch him coming in with uppercuts. Let's use the uppercut. I see that you can't miss him with it. Let's use it enough in the round where it'll hold him, it'll slow him down, and that one punch can win rounds for us. That one punch can be clean enough to win rounds for us. And that's what we need. Let's get a lead. Because later on, we're just going to be trying to get to the finish line. We're just going to be trying to get out of town, with everything we can get out of town with. But let's get the lead. Let's get up 8-0, 6-0, 7-0. We came close. I think we got up 5-0. We got pretty damn close. And let's catch them coming in. Let's pop, catch them coming in. Act like you want to, and then let's turn them. Keep those slow feet moving slow. Keep them behind you. Catch them coming in. So we set up the fight plan every day. And I started feeling a little better, but I was still scared to death, because I never went into a situation ever like this, and then we're just, like I said, we started putting it together. And then one day, early on, because we had 3.5 weeks, but that means you really only got 3 weeks because you got to really cut everything down. Normally the week before, I went a little longer. So we got 2.5, maybe 3 weeks, maybe a little less. So at the early part, after I got everybody thrown out and we went through this thing, the manager made one face-saving call or visit And it was all about safe play. He wanted to show me he was the guy. He was the boss. Hey, I'm all alone here.
Yeah.
I mean, you think you got to write it up in the sky? Really? You think you got to fly a plane and write it in the sky? You think I don't get it? I mean, you don't get it. You're that insecure. I get it. So here I am in the gym, and who comes in, Ken? In the new gym. Big gym. His whole crew.
Oh, jeez.
His whole crew, and guess what? They're not bringing baked goods. Those are not waffles and donuts and, Dunkin' Donuts that they're carrying.
And you're by yourself, or is Saul there?
No, for this one, oh, wait, I did have Saul. I did. Saul was there. So it was me and Saul. I had Saul. And that made me feel worse. You know why? I love him. No. I love him.
No, I know what you're getting at.
Because
you don't want him to get caught up in this.
Because 2 people are going to die instead of 1.
Yeah, exactly.
And it made me feel worse.
Yeah.
You know? And
So they come in with the whole crew. What happens?
They come in, they sit behind me in the stands. There was bleachers. They sit in the bleachers. Nikolai sits up in the front. And we're getting ready to spar. And I set my mind. You know, everyone has to live with themselves, right, Ken?
Yep.
And I set my mind, and it was set. It was, if I hear one word from that direction, and only one person could be saying it, I'm going over there, and it's going to be the end of him and the end of me. And it's just the way it's going to be. And
I can just
listen,
imagine the
am I
scene.
trying to be anything that, hey, scared to death, but at the same time, I can't even tell you, a coldness took over me. I was wishing to God that I would not hear a word. But at the same time, that's the only way I could survive was to not survive.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me in life, you're either living or you're surviving.
Yep.
And if you're only surviving, you ain't living. And I was so cold. My fighter, everyone felt it. It wasn't easy on him either, this poor kid.
Yeah.
And he's looking at me, and you could see he looks at my face, and I said, concentrate on the plan. 1 round at a time. That was a part of the plan, too. I said, this is not a 12-round fight. It's a 1-round fight. He said, 1 round? I said, at 1 round until we get to the 2nd round. Then the next round. And in that, you do not think beyond 1 round, and you be the boss. You be in control. You control yourself. You be calm. 1 round. Then the next round, 1 round. Then the next round, 1 round. And I told him, we had talks. We took walks. I said, look, we have a plan. We execute this plan, we're going to win. I didn't have to go into extra. He knew the damage that was done. He knew the circumstances. So I'm not going to lie because that would be foolish. But I'm not going to magnify it and kill him with it and destroy him with it either. So we have a plan. And I told him, I never told a fighter, I don't think, until Alexander I did, for the title fight against Adonis Stevenson. I told Povetkin, there's going to be 1 point, not 2, 1 point in the fight. It's probably going to come around the 8th round. I'm not sure. I was wrong. I was off by 2 rounds. I said it's going to come around the 8th. Something's going to happen. I didn't want to say it, but I thought he was going to get caught, a shot, because we're going to start getting to that place where we're running on vapors.
Yeah.
And the car's going to start to cough. It's going to start to cough a little. But it's not going to stall. But it's going to come close to it. And something's going to happen. You get through that moment, you're the heavyweight champ of the world. I give you my word. And that's what we went on. And that day, I get him ready. I put the Vaseline on him. I'm praying. I'm like, I'm just there's just a body there. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, man, I'm just like, I'm not even a human being anymore. I'm just like, if I hear this, and I couldn't think of my family, I couldn't think of anything, because then I couldn't do it. And 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, 4 rounds, Ken. You talk about living and dying by the moment. 5 rounds, 6 rounds. I think we went that day 6, 7 rounds. I'm not sure. Maybe 8, maybe. Last round ends. I said, let's go. Get out of the ring. They all get up. They leave. Not a word said. Done. Over. Never happened again. They never came back, to their credit. And about a week later, maybe 2 weeks later, maybe a week before the fight, Vlad comes up to me and says he called to ask permission to come to the gym. He proved his point. He saved what he thought was his face by coming. But at the same time, he recognized me. That he had enough intelligence, respect, whatever you want to call it, instinct, whatever. I don't know what the figure call it. At the end of the day, he wanted to have a chance for the kid to win the fight too. So, to his credit, he didn't say nothing. He left. And then after he showed face that he could come anytime he wants, he didn't come no more. And to his credit, and I'm giving it to him, he went, and I can't tell you, I'm not saying it made him a great guy, but it made him what it made him. And like I said, Vlad said he called and asked if it's okay to come next week or tomorrow, well, whatever it was. And I recognized what he was doing. And I said, yeah, of course, yeah, yes. And he came, and, it was no more, it was smooth sailing. The only thing from that point on was the dread that hung over me of, we're not going to be ready.
Yeah.
And then we get on the plane and we leave. Before we leave, he did say, if he wins the title, I give you cash bonus. If it shows up, bring it to me, all right, Ken? But in the meantime, we go to Germany. It was a scary trip. Part of the deal was they had to give me a cell phone when I was over there. And you got to change to chips.
Yeah.
When you go across to another country, So we didn't change the chip yet, Ken. And I'm just going to tell you what happened. We get off the plane, and I told you, we don't feel, and I've been very quiet, and I've been very, what I am, what I feel, And you can't hide it, Ken. I'm not good at hiding those things. I think you know that.
Yep.
You look at me, and you can see what I feel. Even if I don't want you to, I can't help it. I'm an open book that way.
Yep.
We get off the plane, Ken. We're walking to the terminal to get our baggage. And it's like being in a death march. And we're walking. I've never been this way in my whole life. Ever. And I'm walking in there, and what happens? My phone rings. It can't ring. I don't have the chip. I don't have the chip. How is my phone ringing? I can't. It rings. Hello? It's my son. I said, yeah, bud. He says, Dad, I just want to talk to you. He said, obviously they knew what was going on. I didn't let them know everything. I'm never going to do that to my family. But they knew enough. They heard it in my voice. And my wife knew a little more than they did, a little bit. I didn't want them to know anything. And he said, Dad, I know what you went through and you're going through. And I know you don't think he's got too much of a chance. But you can't show it. Because everything depends on you. Because he's looking at you. He feels as desperate and as lost as you do. But his one saving grace, his one hope is you're going to find a way. And he's going to follow you. Dad, if you project hopelessness, fear, all the things you project, I said, I'm not. I defended myself. He said, Dad, you are. You are, Dad. You are. You never have in your life, but you are. You are. And he said, Dad, you always tell us that no matter what, you never lose until you accept losing. You told us that when we were kids, Dad. It's a deal that you make. You're never defeated until you accept that you're defeated. Until you agree to be defeated. Dad, you taught us that. You're agreeing to be defeated, Dad. Dad, you always taught us that you don't cooperate with defeat. That you always have a chance until you say you don't have a chance. You got to change what you're projecting. Otherwise, you're right. You should not have went. But you made a decision to go, Dad. You made a decision to go, Dad. And you shouldn't have went. If you're going to go there, as you always tell us, there's a fine line between surviving and winning. Anyone could survive. And they could say that they tried to win. But it's not true, Dad. You only tried to survive. You're just trying to survive this thing, Dad. You gave up on the winning part. And you shouldn't be there. And my God, it was hard to hear it. Anyway, I hung up the phone. I told him I loved him. And he was right. I walked into the terminal where the bags were coming out. And I walked right over to the Povetkin. I wonder if he'll remember this. And again, through this whole thing, either you tell a story or you don't tell it. I never told it before. It's been how many, 10 years? But you tell it or you don't. But if you tell it, you tell it. I give him all the credit. He was a special guy because of what I'm telling you. Not me, him. But I went over to him, and he had this look that I had for the 3 weeks. Just lost. Just going to survive. Just walking the death walk. And I grabbed him. I said, come here. I said, let me tell you something. We didn't come here to freaking just fight and say we accomplished something by fighting. We're going to leave right now if that's where we came from. We didn't come for this. Yeah, I know the situation. Yeah, you know the situation. But we got a plan. And we're a plan that can win this fight. But there's one part of the plan that has to be absolute. That we believe we're going to win. that we commit to winning, not just being here. Otherwise, let's get the freak out of here. I didn't come here under these conditions and go through what we just went through just to freaking fight the fight and get paid. We're going to win this fight. There is no freaking way you're losing this fight. No way. You know why? Because we have a left hand, we have a right hand, we have a left foot, we have a right foot, we have heart, we have preparation, we have a plan, we have an idea, and we have a choice. We have a choice of how we're going to behave and what we're going to freaking make ourselves do. Our choice. And we're going to make the choice to freaking win this fight. People climb mountains with no legs. We got legs, we got arms. We're going to win this freaking fight. And that's it. You understand? He looked right in my eyes. He said, yes, Teddy. It was the first time in 3.5 weeks that I actually knew and felt that the two of us, not just him, the two of us were committed to winning this fight. Before we were just going through the motions. The right motions. But we weren't going to win the fight if my son didn't make that phone call. He didn't make that phone call, we don't win this fight. And crazy stuff happened. You know, I'm not a guy that goes to church every day. I don't force my religion or my beliefs on other people. That's private. That's private. But I believe whether you want to call it spirituality. What am I saying the word right?
Spirituality.
Yeah, spirituality. I'm not Raymond Burr, by the way. Whatever you want to call it, I believe in God. I believe, I do. But again, I don't usually say that. You could call it nature, whatever you want to call it. But I believe in what I believe in. But I believe that you have to do what you have to do. You could believe, but you have to be willing to believe in yourself. And in the chance that he gave you. And we had a few days there before the fight. We had to go through, those days of training in the gym and the press and everything else. And there was one other thing that scared me, Ken. It was very hot, very humid. It was 90 degrees, whatever. It was really, really hot. And I was worried because we weren't in the best of shape. And the heat can be your enemy when you're not in the best of shape. And the arena, I don't think was air conditioned. It was going to be, and I asked questions. You know how I am. I ask everything. I knew everything. I knew the square footage of the arena. I knew the cubic inches of the arena, and somebody told me, it gets hot. When it's hot, it gets hot. And I was like, throw something else at me. I felt like that guy, Captain. He had no legs in that great movie, that unbelievable, epic, crazy movie, Forrest Gump, when the captain, right? When he's up on the mast in the shrimp boat, come on! Yeah. And there's a hurricane going on. Come on! That's all you got? Is that all you got? I felt like that to a certain extent, Like, it's 90 degrees. Oh, my God. Ken, I don't give a damn if people say, Teddy, this is too, it can't be. All these things. It was, okay? I don't care. I don't care because we live with the truth. I don't care what it some people could say can or it sounds incredible. Yeah, it was incredible. For me, for us. But people do much more incredible stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of stories that you probably don't hear. I'm sure I know that now. But we get to the we go through, the last day, and we get up that morning. I say my prayers, everything, I'm just saying. I know whatever you want to believe. I got my mom and dad up there. I had them there for the Holyfield fight. Whatever. Again, we faced what we had to face. My fighter faced what he had to face. That's all that matters. He was ready to do that. And we get up that morning. We're going to have breakfast together. Now it's just me and him. You know how it is, Ken. Yeah. It's just me and him, nobody else. I don't even take an interpreter. Because what I was going to say, I didn't need an interpreter. I didn't need an interpreter. And he wants to be with me now. Because we're going into that place now. It's no more of that feelings, anger. No. We're going to war. You know, we're going to war. You know, I know it's not the guns and it's not as brave as the great people we have in this country that defend this country every day. I know it's not even a pimple on the ass, excuse my language, on the backside of that. I get it. But it is what it is for you. We're going to our own war. And we get together in the morning. We take a walk. We eat breakfast. And then we take a walk. Ken, so help me, you know, whatever you want to say. The temperature dropped 30 degrees. Ken, it's actually chilly. It's like 60. I mean, you could go. This stuff is on record. You could go and find the temperature of that week of that fight and the day before that fight and then look at it the day of. It dropped 30 degrees. Maybe it was 25. Whatever it was. And I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like,
yeah.
Somebody's
Thank
listening.
God.
Somebody's listening. Somebody's here. Somebody's on our side. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. And we take a walk, and I talk to him, and I tell him. I told him what I told him, but now it's the last time I'm going to tell him. You're going to have one moment. You're going to have one moment. Something's going to happen. You're going to have one moment, probably around the 7th, 8th round. You get through that moment, you're the champion of the world, baby. Slow this fight down. Do what I say. Keep him behind you. Pick him up as he goes. Keep him behind you. Turn him. Stay away from the left. When you need to hit him with something to slow him down, close your eyes and throw an uppercut. It can't miss. But, you know, other things too. So, anyway, we get in a fight. And I got the interpreter, not my man Max. I had to use someone else. So I was a little worried. I wanted Max, but whatever. I get this other guy he turned out okay, but he got nervous. And I said before, you know how I was very strict. Maybe I made him a little nervous. You think that's possible, Ken? You think?
Guy was probably having a panic attack.
I look at him. I said, listen, I don't know what you before yesterday, 2 minutes ago. I don't give a damn. For the next 36 minutes, you're going to take what I say and tell him exactly what I say, verbatim. You understand? There is going to be no going here, going there, hesitating. Every word I give you, you give to him. You hear me? You understand? Yes. Okay. We get in one moment. I just got to tell you, we're slowing it down. We're doing everything. We get in there one moment. All of a sudden, I'm telling him something, right? All of a sudden, he starts telling me what I said to him in English. I said, but I didn't lose my cool. But you know, I'm like, you tell him. I understand it. You tell him. Yeah, and we got it. That was the only mess of the whole night. That was the whole. He got so, that he started after I said he started telling me in English. I'm like, you tell him in Russian. Him. So that was the only thing. Other than that, Sure enough, that moment came. 2 rounds early, came in the 6th. He got hit a left hand. He got hurt, stunned, shaken. He's a good kid, this kid. You know, that's all him. We lost that round. We were up 5-0. He got caught with that left hand. He had a moment. The guy went after him. I turned to Saul, my man. I said, this is it right here. He said, you've been talking about this. I said, this is it. This is it. This is the fight. This is it. Sit back. We can't do nothing. Watch. Sit back. If he survives here, he gets through here, we're going to have the heavyweight champ of the world. We're going to ride him home. Going to ride him home. He got past it. He come back to the corner. And I knew I had to say something to him to get to that place. He survived it. First thing I said, that was the moment. That was it. That was it. Let's take it home now. I said, do you believe in magic? So I look at this guy. I'm ready to like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, you know? So I turned to him, oh, please, if you ever interpret anything, ever, interpret this, please. So I said, you believe in magic? I look at him because now I'm doing it perfect. I said, you know, he says, you believe. So he looks at me to see what's coming. I said, his father had died a couple months before this fight. I flew to Russia on my own dime to be there for the funeral. I just thought it was the right thing to do for myself. My father died a couple months before the Holyfield fight. I knew what he was feeling. I wasn't going to let that go. Ken, you take everything you can, Ken.
Yep.
That's your job. You just got to figure out what it is. I wasn't going to let it go. So I said to him, do you believe in magic? He looks at me. I said, magic. We have a chance for magic right now to bring your father back. I look at him. He tells him, Padre, I think I heard Padre. Yeah. I said, okay, we're on the right track. Okay. He says, well, Padre. He looks at me. Now he looks at me. I said, we can bring your father back tonight. Magic. Because they're going to be talking about his son, the heavyweight champ of the world. He tells him. All of a sudden, all that fatigue, the redness, you know, he was a pale guy, you know. Yeah. And those guys, you know this, you're a fitness freak. Seriously. Those guys, they get red when they start to lose it. They do. That's part of the physical signs. And he was red. I'm telling you, Ken, I know it sounds crazy. I watered him down. I iced him down. So that was part of it. I was doing everything I was supposed to. We hydrated him, all that. The redness went away. All of a sudden, he rose up. He started getting up. He was not getting up from those chairs. I was picking him up. This round, after his hardest round, the worst round, he started getting up. I was proud of him. He did something that people should appreciate what he did. They don't understand it, but maybe they will. Maybe. But he started getting up. I said, you can bring your father back. Let's bring him back. And he got up. I think that Lennox Lewis and I forget who else, I think they were calling the fight on Epics. I believe. It's easy to find out. It's not hard. And I think that Lennox Lewis, you know, the great Lennox Lewis, heavyweight champ, one of the better ones. He says Teddy Atlas is pulling out everything tonight. He's even pulling the Ghost out. He's even asking Ghost to join him. He's pulling everybody into this one, even pulling the Ghost in. Damn right. Come on, Ghost, you're welcome. If you can help me and help him, come on, bring it. Bring it. And stay away from the left hand. And he kept the edge. He won the fight, Ken. He kept the edge. Poor Saul. And again, you could relate to it. He's in a corner, and it's like 1 minute, 12th round, 1 minute. We got it. Shut up! I'm sorry, but Saul, we got nothing. Please, I love you. And I do. I love him. And he knows that by what I do and do with him and for him and together and how I trust him. I don't have people with me. I only have people I trust. But I said, Saul, dude, you see enough, dude. I'm sorry. And then, he couldn't help it. 30. So, 20, 15. I said, I don't care until there's no time and it's over. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Teddy, you did it. We knew it. You did it. I didn't do it. Alexander Povetkin did it. But it was the hardest. It was the hardest, maybe not the most recognized for accomplishments in my life. But I think the biggest accomplishment of my life. In the way that you understand why it was now.
Yeah.
And for him, I don't think that people give him enough credit. They don't know what he went through.
So when they announce him as the winner, what are the emotions and what does he say to you? What do you say to him? What happens in the immediate aftermath?
I think he said thank you. I think. But he was very happy. Obviously.
How confident were you that you had the decision?
After everything I've been through, Ken, I just felt we won.
Yeah.
I just felt like, I just felt we won. Like we won. And, the people that controlled the power there, Sauerland and them, they wanted him to win. So, whatever. But I just felt like this. It wasn't like it is sometimes. That one, it was like, we won this. We won this fight.
Yeah.
And we did win it. And we did win it. And I tell you, the week there, I want to say, as long as I said almost everything I could think of, I didn't hold nothing back. As bad as those people were to me. And listen, I'm sure they had their feelings about me. I very open about all of it. But it is what it is. But as bad as they were to me, there was one guy that worked for their promotion. His name was John, I believe. Jon, I believe. And he stayed around me for the whole week or whatever it was. We were there 5 days, whatever it was, 4 days, whatever. And he never left my side. He helped me a lot. Just knowing that he cared, knowing that he understood. He understood the Russians. He understood the mentality. He understood things they could do in Russia. He understood the bullying ways, the bullying tactics. He understood all the mentality. He understood it. He knew what they were. And he just stayed with me the whole time. And he knew what I was feeling. I talked to him. I opened up to him. But he understood on his own. I didn't open up completely. But he knew. He was a special guy. I was lucky. I don't know who sent him, Ken. But I'm telling you, he was there the whole time and he helped me a lot. So I shouldn't take credit for it myself and say I was alone. Yeah, I was alone. I had Saul, great person. But I had this guy that was on their side and he stayed with me, and he said a few things, and then he said one thing. He said, one day, he said, I'm having a couple friends come in. They're going to be here with us. They'll be here with us before the fight and after the fight. And I knew what he meant. They were going to be there to look out for me. in case we lost, and because there was word that Nikolai sent over some of his friends to be there. All that stuff was hovering. No, but it was just it was hover. What is it going to be? You're going to be everything I just told you, and then that's going to disappear.
Yeah.
So they were there, watching, being there. I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't see nobody. One thing, I'm consistent. Because when the fight ended, and now all of a sudden they're going to be friends, no. 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 I did not go to the party. I did not go shake hands with them. No. No. Did I go and say anything bad or do this or any of those things with your fingers? Or of course not. I'm not stupid. And I'm not going to do that anyway. I'm not going to do that anyway. But that's your choice. That's my choice. That's who you want to be. That stays with you. You can't be one thing and then be something else. Doesn't work that way. But I wasn't going to go and freaking act like I was parties with them and have a drink with them or friends with them. But John said to me a couple days before the fight, day before, 2 days before, I'm bringing in a couple friends. They're big. He said they're big. They're good guys. They will be with us. And I just said, you have your pride. You don't want to act like a, you know what I mean, Ken? But
yeah, of course.
But you sure as hell, you're glad. You don't say it, but you're glad. Let's be honest, right? And then I just said, all right, that's up to you. He said, yeah, it's up to me, Ted, and they're gonna be here. I said, all right, thanks. And then he said one other thing to me. That was it. He said, remember one thing, Teddy. I know what they are, and I know what they've done in the past because they had a reputation of doing something to somebody in Russia, and somebody that apparently he knew. So he didn't really have love for them, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, they might be this, they might be that, whatever, Teddy. He said, but remember one thing. We're not in Russia. We're in Germany. And it was the first time that I felt better. I never felt good about being in Germany either. I got news for you.
I feel a lot better being in Germany
but it was
than
the
I would
first
being in
time.
Russia in
It was the first
2008.
time that it struck home. It struck home. Yeah, damn right. we're in Germany. We're not in Russia. Yeah. He said, just remember that, Ted. We're not in Russia. We're in Germany. And the guy stayed with me right up. He was so happy. So happy. I just hope if he hears this, he knows how much I have appreciation for him. And what can I tell you? Even love. Because he put himself, he when you can believe somebody, they say they're on the front line with you, and then you turn around and you say, where'd they go? Where'd they, and you're not sure they're going to be there when the moment comes. Yep. This guy, I knew he would be there, and he was.
Yeah.
He was. I remember Cus telling me a story that he had to go face this guy in a fight. It was a leader of a gang, whatever it was in his area, in the Bronx somewhere, whatever. But the point to the story was, Cus was telling me, he said he went with his guys to meet their guys. And he said they're walking a couple blocks. And he said each block they lost a few guys. And by the time they got there to the destination point, the meeting point, he was all alone. And I felt like, am I going to be all alone? I always felt from the beginning, other than Saul, that I would be alone, but I wasn't. So, anyway.
So after that, after you win the title, you go back home. What transpires after that? Do you stay with them for additional fights, or is that the end of the road? Have you had enough?
We have one more fight, and it was during the time that I was off from ESPN, so I go to Russia to train him. If I have my memory, we have to fight the mandatory. I believe it was Cedric Boswell. You tell me if I'm right. I'm not sure.
In Finland.
In Finland.
35-1.
Yeah, he's the number one contender. We got to fight him. We fight him. I go to Russia because I'm still off from, or I'm off from whatever, from ESPN. I go to Russia.
Yeah, the fight was in December.
Yep. We go. I keep my word. We got the championship. We go over there, and we make our first title defense. A mandatory. It's in Finland because Helenius, the kid who just pulled off the upset, who just knocked out the Polish fighter, in New York,
Konaki.
Yeah. Helenius was a big underdog. He was still undefeated at this time. This is what, 10 years earlier, Ken? Something like that?
Yeah, this is in 2011, December of 11.
So 9 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
And so Helenius is undefeated. He's their Sauerland's next, star, supposedly. And of course, his career went south a little bit, and then he pulled off this big upset. But he was on the card. I think he was fighting Chisora, which I thought was going to be a dangerous fight for him. But he won the fight, to be honest. And anyway, that's why we were in Finland. That's why the promotion was in Finland. Helenius drew. Povetkin didn't draw. He didn't have drawing power. That's it's called for what it was. And but we defend the title there. Everybody's happy. Povetkin thanks me, said everything was good after the fight. I go home, and he's supposed to come to the States because now it's his turn. He's supposed to come to the States because January's coming. We're supposed to fight in February. I think we're supposed to fight Huck.
Yep, Marco Huck in Stuttgart, Germany.
Cruiserweight champion. And he's moving up to heavyweight. Sauerland has him too. My memory is not too bad. And we're gonna start training in January, right after the holiday. I said, all right, you got the holiday, you got New Year's, so come here on the 2nd or 3rd, say the 3rd, and we'll start getting ready for the Huck fight. And I don't get a call. Something's wrong. David, my good friend, the lawyer who helped me tremendously, just like my family did. He's like my family, to be honest. And don't get a call. Finally, I don't know if they called. David reached out, whatever, what's going on? Oh, we're having visa problems. You're having visa problems? We're on a 2-year odyssey here. You never had a visa problem? I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like Cuss used to say,
Yeah.
I was born at night, but not last night.
Yeah.
I mean, can you come up with something maybe a little more creative, please? Oh, the truth's going to come out sooner or later, right, Ken? A couple days go by, Vlad, whatever. See, I'm not knocking. I'm just telling truthful things. But I'm not going to try to, out of my way to, the truth is enough. And Vlad says, oh, yes, you're right. I said, I'm right about what? Did you lying? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's something else. Oh, yeah, what? No kidding. No, you know what? Crap, Sherlock. We have championship now. Now you do what we want. Now you come here because you make money. Champion, you come here, make money. I said, wait a minute, hold on. So you think you're going to tell me that the deal, the agreement that we lived by for 2 years, that I lived by for 2 years, you did too. Now that you got what you want, what was that saying I said about Cuss earlier, Ken? or in one of those other shows, the show last week. What did I say? No matter what a man says, Teddy Atlas, remember this, Customano told me. I was 19 years old. Teddy, remember when I'm not around no more, remember what I told you. If you remember one thing in life, no matter what a man tells you, it's what he does in the end that he intended to do all along. So Vlad says to me, you're gonna come here to Russia and train because we have the title now and you're gonna make money and you're gonna. So I said, so that agreement, that commitment means nothing. And you think I'm just gonna say, oh yeah, that sounds like fun. Can't wait to get back to Russia. I mean,
like it's the Caribbean.
Get the suntan, Lord, honey. Get the copper tone. We're going to Russia. You can't make this up. So he says, yeah. I said, so that agreement means nothing. Well, we got the championship now. So that just wipes out our agreement. And you think I'm going to go along with that? Really? Oh, yes, because we got championship and you make money. How do you say click in Russian? It's about the same, right? Click.
Yeah.
Click. So, listen, I was disappointed in the fighter, but
I was going to ask you, did he reach out after this all went down? Did he ever speak to you?
No.
To this day, he's not spoken to you?
No, well, I had no occasion. No. If they called me, I probably, you gotta, if you're going to say you're telling the truth, you better tell it every second. I don't remember. If they tried to call me, I probably didn't take the call. But I don't think they did. I don't think they did. But if that's a shortcoming in me, good. It is. Not good, but it is. But, no, they never call. Maxim, my man over there, came to the United States afterwards, and he wanted to visit me, and he did. And he says, I'll tell you one thing, Teddy. He says, what they did was wrong. He said, I left those people. I don't work with them no more. He said, but I'll tell you this. Povetkin gives you all, he is very respectful of what you did. And never forgot it. I said, well, he forgot something. He forgot how to keep his word. But, so, c'est la vie, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody tried to, I don't know if it was Maxim. Maxim was such a good kid. I'm not sure. I don't think it was. But somebody tried to excuse for him. Me and excuses don't go real good together, Ken,
Yes, I do know.
I mean, I'm going to try not to make them. I appreciate it if you try not to make them, Let's start there. And they said to me, it wasn't him, it was the people around him. I said, stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there. First of all, I would say stop right there because it's always your choice. So stop. But second of all, he said, you know the kind of people they are. How's he going to go against them? Stop. He went against them 2 years earlier a little over 2 years, whatever it was, 2 years earlier when I didn't have him fight Klitschko. And he really knew it was the right thing. He had no problem standing up to them then. He stood up. I stood up, yes, but he stood up too. He didn't get on a plane and go back to Germany for that press conference. They had the press conference, by the way, that time that we talked about. They had it without him because they still thought they were going to pull it off.
I'm sure they did. They were probably like, the kid's going to do it.
And you know what they had in place of him at the press conference?
What's that?
A cardboard cutout of him. Yeah, they did. And Klitschko did something funny, silly, whatever you happen to feel about that stuff. Like, okay, like he talked to it.
Yeah.
I guess that was to embarrass him. Whatever. But in the meantime, he didn't get on that plane. He knew how to stand up to them. He forgot now.
Yeah.
When it was less important or less convenient. Right? No.
Yep.
No, it's okay. What are you going to do?
They eventually did talk him into fighting Klitschko, and
No. Before you say they talked him into it, no. Just like I had said earlier, not that I'm a prophet, but I know my business. Sure enough, what happens? I said that eventually he'll fight Klitschko, maybe. But he'll get another chance to fight a title. He did. Against the lesser guy, he did. And now he eventually might get a chance to fight Klitschko, and it'll be a different situation. Well, now that time comes. Now he's more experienced. He's more confident. And he's got his own belt. He's got something to bring to the table. Now a $2 million fight became, you ready? $6 million.
Yep.
That's 3 times what he would have got when they wanted to do it, Ken.
And by the way, when you told him, when he passed on that the first time, he was 14-0 for $2 million. When he finally did get in with Klitschko, he was 26-0, 26 wins as a pro.
For $6 million, Ken, and he went the distance. He got dropped like 3 times. But if he had fought him those couple years earlier, not only would he have got $2 million, not only would he have wound up with no money, not only would his career have been over, he would have got knocked out in a couple rounds. And that would have been the end of him. And what is he now? Now he's close to 40, or he is 40. He made $6 million against Klitschko. He lasted the distance, even though he won. He lost, obviously completely lost the fight. But he made $6 million. He went the distance, and he had a second career. He continues to fight. He continues to be in meaningful fights, making money.
He went on and had a long career after he lost to Klitschko. It looks like he won about 6 or 7 in a row. He lost by TKO to Joshua in 2018. Had a draw against Michael Hunter. He beat Huey Fury, and now he's like due to fight Dillian White. I mean, that fight's been postponed, obviously, but my God, he's made some money.
Yeah, he has.
And by the way, I just noticed also on that Klitschko fight, Sauerlands were his promoter all the way up, but for the Klitschko fight, they're not the promoters. It was Stashkov and Vladimir Hironov, but no Sauerlands. So even though they put it off, the promoters didn't get what they wanted in the long run. They didn't even promote the fight.
Sometimes justice is served in strange ways, Yep.
But that was quite the odyssey for sure. Wow. Just knowing what I know about being in camp with you, I can't even imagine what this was like. It must have been, I mean, all I can think about is Saul must have just been like, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah, Saul's my brother, and brothers go through pain, share pain sometimes if they're really brothers. And we shared a little bit of pain, a little bit of fear, but also a little bit of satisfaction and victory and accomplishment, overcoming. He was so happy, Saul. He was so happy. Right after the fight. I mean, first of all, he was happy we were still alive. That's something to be happy about, I mean, that's always something. That's always something to celebrate, Ken. And so that was a good one. And then the kid was so sincere, He sent out a text to everybody, I found out afterwards because they showed me the text. He took a picture with the belt, with the world championship belt, and he said, "We now have the belt." We now have the belt. I think he actually said belts. I was wondering what other belt we had, but at that point, it didn't matter. Yeah. We now, the belts are with us, something like that.
That's a good one. Well, I'm sure the fans are going to enjoy that story, and we'll have some questions. And if this quarantine continues, we'll keep doing Q&A sessions. So if anyone has any questions about this in particular, please feel free to hit us up on social media. Do what you got to do. If you enjoy Teddy's story, there's a whole bunch more in his book, Atlas: A Son's Journey to Become a Man, From the Streets to the Ring. Please check it out on Amazon, audible.com. Teddy, am I forgetting anything?
No, we talked enough.
Thanks for sharing the stories. It was a pleasure as always. Thanks to Rob in the background. And I we'll be back with you. If you enjoy the show, please share the links, leave a review. Always great to hear from the fans. Thanks for being with us.